What's happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. I know you guys can probably already tell that it is going down. Just by that title alone, you guys are definitely gonna want to check this one out, as we have Dems in a full-on panic after their secret website used to dox ICE agents just got hacked, and that now there's some serious worries from their side because this now opens up the door to some serious potential prosecutions and firings, guys. I'm excited to get into this one, so without further ado, let's hop straight into today's scoop.
This is about trust. It's about having folks that would report an accident, would report a crime, and know that the police are going to come in. They go there, they throw these chemical, munitions, they start things on fire, they cause all this conflict. People are scared, there's trauma, and then all of a sudden they leave, and State Patrol or Minneapolis police come in. Well, folks there are angry and they're taking it out. So now all of a sudden, all this work to build trust in the community, all this that we care, many of these people live down the block, their own houses, and it's hard to have trust in them. And so it creates chaos. They are not coordinating. And this is what's ridiculous. Republican and Democratic administrations, we always coordinate with FBI, whether it's around drug trafficking, human trafficking, crimes, things that would happen. They're not telling us where they're going. They're not telling us what's happening. And it's ludicrous, and you're driving around seeing this. They're just driving around fishing. They're not. There's no plan. They don't have a master sheet where they say we're going to go here. We know this person's here. We've done the work. We know what their routine is. We'll be able to pick them up with no incident. Be able to go and process them. It's not that at all. They're just randomly saying that guy looks brown. I'm picking him up, or he looks Somali. I'm picking him up. The outrage, the physical outrage, the lack of security, but the moral injury that's been done to this city and this state is just immense. And I'm just going to share this. We're going to try and find a way out of this. They obviously, I wished it would have been, they were morally outraged by Alex's murder, but they're morally outraged that the press looks bad.
Yeah.
But everybody I've talked to in the White House and everybody I've talked to in Homeland Security, not a single person asked me, how's Alex's family doing? What do you think about this? Wouldn't that be the human response, the first thing when you met somebody? They didn't even ask how my people were doing. That there's no sense of that there's a humanity in this, or like, look, this went kind of bad. The president said we're on the same wavelength. We have the same goal of ending this. I'm just not sure what his end state looks the same as my end state. My end state is a restoration of constitutional rights, an accounting of these two killings with the people holding trial, and stop this assault. And what people are seeing is the physical assault on ICE. Keep in mind, we have a parade of these people, from Pete Hegseth to Dr. Oz, coming here to tell us we're withholding all your money from your food programs. We're withholding all your money from this. You can never do this again. The oppression on a sovereign state, I'm not sure we've seen anything like this.
All right, folks. So as you can see, Governor Tim Walz is back at it, playing the victim in this situation, seeing that he's being targeted in his state by the Trump administration. I guess it did not take long for him to get back to fighting against President Trump's mass deportation agenda. First, it was he's going to cooperate, but now he's not toning it down. Back at it with the very inflammatory rhetoric. And my best guess is Governor Walz is keeping this all up in an attempt to distract from his implication in the widespread Somali fraud.
Governor Walz knew about this fraud in Minnesota since the day he came into office as governor. He's known about this for a decade or so. And Democrats had sort of an implicit deal with the Somali community there, that they were going to turn the other way, allow these Somali immigrants to defraud American taxpayers to the tune of billions and billions of dollars, and in exchange they expected that Somali community to vote monolithically for Democrats. It was kind of a Faustian bargain that Democrats have been doing for a long time, and in many other places too. So what we want to do is bring Tim Walz in and Keith Ellison and ask them, what exactly did you know, and when did you know about this fraud, and how did you know about this fraud, and why didn't you do anything to stop it? And I think that's something that the American people want to know as well.
I've got news for our old pal Tim Walz. This is not distracting us one bit, and we will get to the bottom of this whole fraud scandal that has plagued your state. And he just crossed a major line. He really did. With this latest announcement, this move to kick back off that fight against ICE and Trump's mass deportation agenda. Now Republicans in Congress have seen enough of his lies and ridiculousness. He's working his way into some serious trouble.
Let me just say a couple of things quickly, Sean. Number one, Governor Tim Walz. Whatever he says, believe the opposite. I'm sorry, the man learned to lie before he learned to talk. He's just a.
I can't help it. You crack me up.
Well, he's just a less masculine version of Hillary Clinton.
Oh man!
Number,
oh my gosh!
Number two.
Did you go drinking before tonight? Did you have dinner before? Keep going.
No, I don't,
keep going.
I don't
wanna
even
stop.
drink. I don't even drink. Number two, unless you have a history of disappointing your parents, you know that illegal immigration is illegal. And the Democrats are always telling us, nobody is above the law. Well, how come people who are in our country illegally are above the law? I support enforcing our immigration laws. Now, how you do it matters. It has to be done in accordance with due process and equal protection. The other point, people just need to understand, they have the right to protest, but they don't have the right to protest violently. Violence undermines the morality that they say their movement is built on. Dr. King understood that. Mandela understood that. Interfering with the police, protesting violently is also deep dish stupid. You can get hurt. The truth is, most cops, most ICE officials, they will leave you alone unless you do illegal stuff. And number three, Lindsay was on earlier. Sean, he's right about the sanctuary cities. Senator Thune, I love you like a taco, man. If you're listening right now, let us bring a bill to the floor of the United States Senate to get rid of sanctuary cities. And let's do it along with combating fraud under reconciliation so we don't need Democratic votes. Lindsay is right. It's time.
I agree with everything that Senator John Kennedy just said right there. Violence is never the answer. It doesn't work towards the solution, but adds more problems. We have to stay away from that. Now, I want to flip over because here's the juicy stuff for today. So, apparently, or allegedly, I will say, white hackers hacked the Stop ICE website and gathered every single person's information and threatened to leak it to authorities. So this is what the website now is displaying, or was displaying. I believe they got back control of the website, but not before MAGA hackers exposed all the email addresses, and names of all the folks who were involved in the creation, behind the scenes, and who also was posted and leaking ICE's locations, their license plate number. They had these trackers, ICE locations, like where they're at as far as in their stops, their addresses. So we have everything that we need on them. It says we were not kidding. We sent your names, logins, passwords, and locations to a bunch of government agencies. Sherman Austin is a terrible coder. So are RC Concepcion and Matt Baran. So you can see they're not messing around. Kudos to these hackers. And by the way, this is the largest ICE doxing website, StopIce.net. This is what the libs have been using in order to harass ICE agents to know exactly where their locations is, their license plate numbers, their names, and their home addresses. So I'm so glad to see that we are taking action in this sense. They don't understand the type of jeopardy or danger they're putting these ICE agents in by constantly putting their lives on the line and leaking all their information. They wouldn't want their information leaked. They're like freaking out right now. So why do they think that it's okay to do it to ICE? And I actually found someone who broke down exactly what happened in technical terms. Our friend Patriot Dad here.
So this might just be one of the most satisfying X posts I think I've ever seen. I opened up my X account, and the first thing that I see is a post from our friend Data Republican. Do you want to see it? You all know Data Republican. She's been on the Patriot Source podcast a couple times, but she is probably one of the leading AI engineers that are involved in some of the investigations that are happening into the color revolution. Well, she started partnering with people like Cam Higbee and all the other folks who've been investigating the ICE Watch organizations, and now also trying to figure out how is it that these people are able to scan license plates and identify federal agents. Well, apparently there's been some additional work going on. I remember seeing the other day, Zero Hour, who's one of my favorite accounts over on X, made a comment. Said something to the effect of, well, it seems the only thing that we needed to do to help ICE was just send in a bunch of nerds. Do you see this? Data Republican says, major breaking. The largest ICE license plate tracker, Stop ICE, has been compromised. if you visit the ICE or Stop ICE license plate tracker, you will notice all their plates have been overwritten with the following image. And this image of Tom Holman saying, "Hello, stopice.net. All your logins, locations, passwords, phone numbers have been given to the FBI and ICE." And sure enough, when you get into the stopice.net website, all of the images of the vehicles have been replaced by that means.
Talk about messing around and finding out. If this is true, this is a huge step in the right direction. I'm tired of seeing these libs constantly putting ICE agents, our federal law enforcement's lives on the line because they want to reveal or expose their location and personal information. That is not the way you do it. That's not the way you protest. And as soon as this happened to them, now they're freaking out and they're scared because not only have they sent this information to the FBI and ICE, they've sent it to their employers. You know, they're tracking down where these folks are working and letting them know, hey, do you know your employee, what they're doing on their free time? And I feel like this whole thing, it makes no sense because you got to think back to the election, the 2024 elections, the majority of the country, this is what we voted for. Mass deportation was in President Donald Trump's original agenda. When he proposed that to us, we were all in favor, all on board, because we knew the damage and the great harm it was causing to our great nation. Now we have Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt absolutely debunking the idea that Trump is now going to somehow back off of mass deportation. She says, quote, he made a commitment to all Americans that voted for him, and she's exactly right in saying so.
The White House and the president are open and willing to listen. I know the president said aboard Air Force One last night that those conversations and discussions will continue. Last week, the White House invited moderate Democrat senators to come to the White House and to discuss their concerns so that we can hear them out and at least see what they are trying to put on the table. Unfortunately, that meeting was blocked by their leadership. So these conversations will continue to, Maria, and ultimately the president will be the decider on any policy changes. But what I know in talking with the president and seeing what this administration has done over the course of the last year is that President Trump is never going to waver in the commitment that he made to the nearly 80 million Americans who voted for him to deport illegal alien criminals who broke our nation's laws to get here and then have committed further crimes of violence against American citizens. And that's why ICE and Border Patrol are true patriots. They need to be respected. The Democrats need to agree to stop demonizing them. We've heard despicable rhetoric from people on the left comparing ICE to the Nazi Gestapo, Donald Trump's police force. That is egregious language that has led to the increase in violence, threats, and attacks against ICE agents who are brave men and women who put on the uniform to enforce our nation's immigration laws. So the Trump administration is always going to be on the side of law and order, and we want to remove these illegal alien rapists, murderers, pedophiles, despicable individuals from our country to protect the homeland. And the president has done a phenomenal job at doing that. And that's why murder rates in this country, newly released data show, are at the lowest in recorded history. These things are not coincidental. Under Joe Biden, murders were up, violent crime was up, we had illegal aliens invading our country from all over this world. All of that has ended. So President Trump knows what works. Democrats, if they were smart, would trust him and listen to him.
Yo, there we have it, guys. Oh my goodness, this right here, this was a huge move coming from the MAGA hackers infiltrating that anti-ICE or ICE doxing a website that had license plate trackers, you name it, all the personal information for these ICE and Border Patrol agents. I'm so glad to see that they are no longer able to do what they've been doing, and they're also getting a little bit of a taste of their own medicine. It doesn't feel so good, does it? It's not fun at all, and not to mention ICE is simply trying to help out and clean up the community. I actually had my younger brother ask me last night, what's going on with ICE, because he's curious. It's so much left-wing propaganda out there that ICE is kidnapping folks, shooting people at random, but it's not the case whatsoever. And I very simply explained it to him as, there's no other country in the world that has open borders where you just walk in and just start living in the country. And he asked me, well, what about a passport? I'm like, yeah, you can go over there and visit with a passport, but you have to apply for a visa, ultimately, to gain citizenship within a country, and that's not what any of these folks done. There's a right and there's a wrong way to do things, and they've all done it the wrong way. If you came across the border, you snuck into the country, you must go back and attempt to do it the right way. There is no way that we can continue to allow this, and not to mention they're abusing our social service programs, getting getting by on a tax dime and they're not paying into taxes. It doesn't make sense why folks are sparking up so much outrage. And once I explain it to him like that, mind you, he's a freshman in high school.